Hey everybody, Pay Marine here with another, I guess, kind of in crosshairs, the abridged version of the live stream along, I guess you could say I did with the Twitch live stream that Warhammer community did. So there's a lot to unpack here, both in what they announced or released, whatever, and then those things that were then later found by people in the community who did some data mining into the new Warhammer40,000.com website and pulled some images out of the code and stuff that they had kind of saved and ready to, I'm assuming, just hit, enter basically to um, make those photos and stuff and those backgrounds and stuff live when they get to I guess when those other items start to get announced and released. So they just wanted to kind of get a little bit ahead of the game. But with all this stuff, um, you kind of can't do that with the community. They really pick apart every little thing. And first off, I want to point out the new Warhammer 40,000 logo. I think it's really cool. I like it streamlined. Obviously, they do change it over the years, and it's been a little while. I mean, I don't remember when the last time they've updated it. It's definitely been probably, I mean, it's at least been a decade, I would say, easily. And so anyway, I like it. I think it looks cool. This particular example is not the best example, although everybody in this hobby love if they don't complain and pick apart something. I feel like that's more their hobby, or it's almost another aspect of the hobby aside from like building, painting, converting, playing, all that, and then it's complaining. Um, so whether it's the way models look, the price of the models, or whatever it is, there's always something to complain about. And this particular, a lot of people just don't like the new look of the logo because they don't like change. But the other thing is there's concern or whatever about it not being center, about, I don't know, there was like something over here. Like somebody did like a whole bunch of drawings all over and like, oh, this to here and to there is not right. The R is coming out. It's overlapping over here. Um, yeah, okay, whatever. The other reason why I'm kind of like dismissive of it anyway is like I don't feel like this was like, I'm not sure how or why this one is like this because everywhere else, like the R is well within the border of this thing. It's still not exactly center, but it's kind of hard to do that when you have an R and a W. Um, Now you can like, yeah, okay, the A is the middle. You have four letters and four letters. So the A is the middle letter, so you should center everything off of the A, right? But when you think or you try to do something like that, obviously a W is a lot wider than an R, and it's like smaller around the base here versus the R is pretty, like you can go from here to here. So in general, it kind of has a very standard footprint, to the point where you could even go like, yeah, the M's are a little bit wider, um, but for the most part, all the R, the E, the A, the H, again, R, the A, like they all kind of make up the same kind of footprint if you were to make it into a square, right? Um, the M's are a little bit wider, so they take up a little bit more space. But then the W is much different because it doesn't come straight like the M. It has these angles, so it's just not gonna like symmetrically based off of like the letter being the middle one in the middle. It just wouldn't ever really exactly work out. The A will always have to be somewhat off center because of the W being the shape that it is, really. Um, so basically what you have to do is you have to center it off of the way the whole word looks together. I know it's kind of a weird concept unless they change the way that they were doing the W, and if they made the W just essentially an upside down M, would be about the only way that they can try to make it even more symmetrical, and push that A a little bit more center line. But again, that's just whatever. But let's get into the things that really matter. So again, I'm just going to hit the wave tops. I mean, the Twitch live stream is still up if you want to go back and view it. I'm not going to watch any of the little videos they showed. They had a really cool intro video, though, for the opening of, or the announcement of ninth edition. And in it, it's Necrons versus essentially Imperium, because they have Guard and Sisters of Battle. but I think it's definitely more a hint at the new box set, because then Space Marines show up, and it's a bunch of Space Marines that we've never seen before. Primaris, yes, but the type of units and things are definitely different. So, um, I mean, that really leads to, plus some of the videos or images that were data mined, shows what could potentially be the new starting box set for ninth edition, which I think is pretty cool on both ends, both for Necron players and for um, Space Marine players. And I also think it's kind of a breath of relief. I don't think we've ever had a starter set that came with Necrons, if I'm thinking back, because it's always been, it was like Space Marines and Orcs, Space Marines and Tyranids. Then we had a couple years of like Chaos stuff, because we had Dark Imperium, um, which was Plague Marines, and then what were the or Death Guard Plague Marines. Um, I'm trying to think, what was that one before? It wasn't. I keep for some reason Dark Imperium, but it wasn't Dark Imperium. It was the one that came with Dark Angels, which was the first time that they kind of broke away from the generic Space Marines, um, or like generic models where you could paint them anything. Which um, I don't know. I wasn't looking back at that one. I feel like that was kind of a fumble. I feel like they should have just, again, they could have painted them as Dark Angels, but it was like the one time that they actually go away from releasing box sets that are Ultramarine painted, even though you could paint them any color because they don't have, or any chapter because they don't have any iconography on them. But this was the first time that they like released a starter set that like it's Dark Angels on the shoulder pads and all their iconography. So, but anyway, and they had Chaos Marines against them as well. So, nice to see Necrons in there, and a huge update to a lot of the models on the line. It looked like Warriors in general. I don't know if these are going to be just in addition to, and they're still going to have the old Warriors. I think it's just a replacement, and I think they should be replaced just because they're old and need an update. And I think this is also a good sign of hopefully things to come, especially with the new exclusive models that Colonel, Catechin Colonel that came out that everybody was going crazy about, that they just gave to the stores. There's supposed to be a story anniversary exclusive. We may see it. That female Catechin Sergeant that is for store openings. Hopefully that's kind of a look too, that okay, not only they're going to just start updating the Catechin like troop models and stuff because they're pretty old and need an update, but then just all the like basic guard stuff, because there's definitely kits within certain armies that don't really need an update that are still pretty decent kits. But then there's also like your basic like infantry troop choices, whatever, like stuff like that. Really do need an update, and especially with Blackstone Fortress and seeing all the Trader Guardsmen that they have and how well those look. I think Guard definitely can be done better and look really good. But anyway, so yeah, first thing they popped into was this video. Again, definitely check it out. You can go on the Warhammer community page to this article, or to warhammer40000.com, and it's also there. And then this is they previewed this sister. They had a I don't remember how many previews ago it was now, but they had a close-up of her face with kind of blood coming down, and there was like that green in her eyes from when I don't remember what kind of Necron it was first fired at her. But yeah, so here it is. Very cool. It kind of reminded me of like a video game cinematic, and it was one that I was kind of like, man, I really want like a really cool like third or even first person. Although I've played a little bit of Deathwing, and it's okay. It's just, I say okay as in I feel like the controls, I don't feel like a bulky, huge Space Marine and Terminator armor, I guess. But anyway, but the game Space Marine, the third person shooter, I loved. I just loved everything about it, and I would love a sequel to that. And that kind of like watching this kind of really brought me into that. Now, something that people have brought up, and I also definitely, I mean, looking right here at this picture, see, you could try to say it's perspective, but it's really not. But anyway, so here we have a sergeant of the new Assault Intercessors and a Sister of Battle. But the thing is Space Marines are supposed to be much bigger than a regular human. And Primaris are supposed to be much bigger than Space Marines. Now, this being a Primaris, next to the Sister of Battle, I mean, he looks like a regular size Space Marine, I would say. I feel like a Primaris should probably have his head up to here at least. Um, I don't know. Small thing to notice. Again, here they are side by side, and then here, like, again, it just doesn't look quite. But yeah, here's this new Necron. I'm not sure what he's called, but on the Warhammer 40,000 page, you can see a better picture of him. And then here again, so and that's the other thing here is like their torsos seem really squished, and then they have like these really long legs and arms and stuff. So the proportions seemed a bit off. Um, Now this here, we don't get a super great look at him, but there is a model of this, and we'll dive into that in a little bit, that you can pull off of the data mining stuff. But something here is he looks to, at least in the stuff data mine, he looks to be a captain, but not in like regular armor. It looks like it to be Gravis armor, but this doesn't really look like Gravis armor to me. But yeah, we'll go. So then here we go. We have this again, and a Sister of Battle. So, and again, real quick before we, as I go on, just FYI, if you're unfamiliar with my videos and stuff, I do have 3 kids. They're very, very young, so they tend to pop in and interrupt from time to time. So if you don't like that, I apologize. It's what I can do. It's the best I can do, and especially with everything going on now and school's closed. I'm making this on the weekend, but still, they're definitely always around now. So, let's see here. Okay, sorry, back. Like I said, that was actually my wife calling, so, yeah, the interruptions never end. So, again, I apologize as I try to go through this. It's definitely hard, like I said, with just spacing and doing this in my home and stuff, and I try to isolate as much as possible, but it can be definitely hard. So, so then going down, so this is where they introduce the assault intercessor, as it shows here. So we go down. Here's a picture of it. So basically, they're intercessors that all can take chain swords and the heavy bolt pistol. Now, problem I have with this is, what is the point of Reavers? Like, Reavers can't take chain swords. They can deep strike, but then, like, they have to do a 9-inch charge, which is not impossible, but that's a rough charge to get. They don't get any kind of bonus to their charge. So, and then their grenade, they have like that shock grenade that they can try to throw, which causes, like, they can't fire Overwatch. I can't remember even, because I played them like when they first came out and then never fielded them really. I guess they can take grappling hooks to ignore terrain and stuff. I think they're a little bit better in Kill Team, but like regular 40k, they're just not really that beneficial. Now, a lot of people are saying, like, well, these assault intercessors, like, what's the point of them? Like, they can't deep strike. Like, how are they getting up there? You know, you can take, it looks like from the data mining pictures that you can take it's a 10-man squad max. So you could throw them in repulsors, or you could chop them into 5-man squads and throw them in impulsors and boost them up the field where they can jump out at the end of the movement versus needing to get out at the beginning. Now, this is all in 8th edition. The disembark rules may change in 9th. They haven't really mentioned so much. They came out with 9 kind of, I guess, key things that they say are changing or will be changing. So we'll see how that works. But, yeah, I don't really see that as a problem. I feel like there's some decent delivery methods to get them into battle. The repulsor I don't feel like is the best, just because of the cost, and it's more of a gun platform really than it is a transport, even though it has a pretty good transport capacity. It's more of a gun platform with really decent range, and then also it's tough, all that, and also expensive. So if you're going to try to like boost it up into battle, there could be some issues there. But at the same time, they're also talking about tanks don't get bogged down in combat, which, again, we'll get into all that in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself too much. But anyway, it's cool. They have the close support symbol, or the assault symbol, if you will, or some call it the fast attack symbol on their shoulder. So the question is, are they going to be troops, or are they going to be a fast attack option? Yeah, so a lot of people are like, why don't they get jump packs or whatever? And who knows? Maybe these ones won't, because these are the ones in the box set, but maybe we'll find out that there is some sort of grab shoot jump pack variant available in the multi-part kit. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But if there is, then that 100%, like Reavers are done. Like, there's no point in taking Reavers if that's the case. Yeah. This is just the tip of the spear for Space Marines. Who knows what else the Adeptus Astartes are preparing to deploy? Well, a lot. We've already known. Now, the other thing, too, is the timeline of this is people are saying, like, when is 9th going to drop? So June is when it dropped before, and I think I'd have to go back. I'm not even sure when past editions have come out, if it's always been the June time frame, which could be true. I just don't know, with everything going on in the world right now, and it's already the end of May right now. Like, it seems pretty crazy if all of a sudden the new edition is going to be dropping in June. But it may happen. For some reason, in my mind, I'm thinking like August, September is when we'll see the new edition. I would be okay with seeing it sooner, but not okay. I'd be okay because, of course, I want to get my hands on the new stuff and put it together and everything, but that just adds to my to-do pile. I've got plenty of stuff from when Primaris first came out that I still haven't painted. Like, literally, I have models that I built and got already, and they're primed at least, or base coated, from when 8th first came out, and those kits first came out. And I just haven't. I've been working on other projects, or I get caught up on other models in the army, or sometimes new things come out, like those Executioners came out, and suddenly, like, I had to get those painted up and ready to go. So a lot of things have taken some back burners there. The Necrons, so new Necrons, and so they show the new Necron Warrior, and like I said, here it says the new Necron Warrior, so this definitely leads me to believe that they are full-on replacing the current line of Necron Warriors, which, you know, I don't play Necrons. I've played them in Shadow War when that was a thing, and stuff like that, but other than that, like, I haven't played them, and I may in the future. But as you can see, they got rid of the rod, so kind of going away from that clear rod. Some people like that, some people dislike that, but I don't know. I think it all looks cool, and then the models look great. So here's some, and they look a little bit more kind of like coming up out of the earth, kind of some parts of them not fully functional. Definitely gives more of a mummy-esque kind of feel. Some damage left over from prior battles or something there. But yeah, I think they're very cool. Very, very cool looking for sure. And then, like, even this here, like, the foot is more like turned in. To me, it kind of almost gives a very Avengers Age of Ultron feel to him when he first kind of like came together and out of these different like robot parts and stuff, and was like kind of like all janky and coming out to the Avengers. That's kind of what this aesthetic is kind of reminding me of with some of these. So, oh wow, I guess you keep going, they really show a lot of them. So, alrighty, let's go further down. The next chapter, so here is where they showcase a new series of books coming out. That's going to be, I guess, as on par as the Horus Heresy kind of series and stuff like that, I guess, and overarching and how it all fits together. This is all so far just going to be taking place of like the Indominus Crusade and how that came together and how that all worked. And as you can see here, we have the gray shield chevron of the Unnumbered Sons. So it's cool to see that, and it's like the first time actually seeing what it looked like. So if you wanted to add some gray shield veterans, you now have a depiction of what that chevron looked like. I made a joke on the Facebook page where it's like, oh, Ultramarines confirmed Alpha Legion, because if you flip that U upside down, you have the Alpha Omega symbol. Obviously, you'd have to actually make this an A with a chain or something, but it looks very suspiciously close, so I made the joke. And then some things go over people's heads, and they're like, no, he was an unnumbered son. I know that. But anyway, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so I'm actually interested into diving into these. I've been enjoying the Dark Imperium series so far, so I think getting some more insight into the Indominus Crusade will be really, really cool and fun. And I don't mind the artwork. I'm okay with the artwork. I know there's a lot of people that have been kind of like huffing and puffing, like, this isn't grimdark enough. It's just, again, it's that whole idea of change. I mean, if you look at the artistic aesthetic back in the day to now, it's definitely changed a lot over the years, and to the point where if Warhammer sticks around for another 10, 20 years, it's going to change a ton again, and people are going to be wanting to go back to, they're going to be like, oh, it's not like the 40K art of 2020 that I remember and love. It was so grim dark, and who knows, we're going to have, I don't know if it can, yeah, who knows what it'll be, because there's another, with the Crusade, the more comic book style art, a lot of people also said they weren't a big fan of that, because while they understand they're trying to attract and bring in younger players, and I guess maybe even show it to some adults who may be questioning whether their child should be involved in this hobby, kind of showing it in a little bit more of a kid family friendly way, I guess. Even though a lot of the subject matter in this can be pretty crazy, I definitely see, you can see they're definitely trying to hit a wider audience for sure. So then we have, they talk about play testing, and then this was huge. So Mike Brandt, right here, Mike Brandt, and then I guess this is his little avatar picture that they drew. So he's officially joining the Warhammer community team. Is going to be running all of their events worldwide. And then shortly after this video, I got a Nova Open newsletter with a letter from him talking how essentially he is still going to be kind of connected, as in, like, you know, as he kind of always will be connected with Nova Open, but officially he is stepping down and turning it over to Lori Brandt, which is a family member. I'm not sure if it's his wife or someone else, but she'll be taking over as the CEO of it, and the executive board will be running it, and he'll be out of the decision making and stuff altogether. He also mentioned it, like, really with the size and scope of it, he really hadn't, kind of, aside from like overarching things, but a lot of other people were very much involved in making sure everything ran. But the idea also being that he wants to, you know, take himself out of any situation where it could be seen as favoritism or any potential thing where anybody might think that Nova Open is getting more support than any of the other places around the world or in the States or wherever, and that they won't receive any special treatment or any extra Games Workshop or whatever support. So it's very interesting. Obviously, I think it's a move that he has definitely jumped on. He's been part of the playtesting team in the, at least in the East Coast area. So a lot of the changes, I guess you could kind of blame him and his playtest team. But yeah, so, and then this was really cool. And now I can't remember his name again. I can always forget the actor's name. But they had this guy on here, James. They call him James Warhammer, and the way he talks and everything about him, he reminds me of, I can't think of the actor's name again. He was the boss on the IT Crowd, and he's also plays Laszlo on What We Do in the Shadows. I can't think of his name again. But they have that very, very interesting kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a caricature, like snooty British talk. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so he goes into the 9 things that you need to know. And I actually kind of want to jump into this, actually. So I'm going to probably turn the volume off, and then I just want to get to, like, the things that they mentioned, because I think they have the text. Alright, 9 great things about the new edition. Let's jump to, okay, number 1. Okay, I guess there is no, I thought there was text, but let's go see this. I'll turn it down, and then we'll kind of pause it after each one and talk a little bit about it.
1. Warhammer 40,000 has been polished to perfection. Thousands of hours of feedback and innovation have refined the game you love into a gaming experience as smooth as a Necron's shiny head. 2.
Okay, so number 1, that was kind of like a non-anything. Like, just that they say they've polished it in a game. It's the best one ever. Now, we've seen this all the time. Like, 8th came out. It was the best. It's supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread. A lot of people liked it. But then things started getting convoluted. They started releasing supplements and campaign books and rules and everything. And then what happens is it gets so convoluted that they're like, okay, time for a new edition. And we see this regularly. Like, editions last, the life of them is about 3 to 4-ish years. Usually about 3 is where they're like the cutoff is going to be. And honestly, like, 8th edition came out, and I would say maybe a year, if not right away, they're working on the next edition. Like, the lead time, you know, and then with all the tournaments and everything going on, they take all that feedback. I would bet as soon as 8th came out, easily 6 months to a year after, they were already working on 9th. Like, it was already happening. Like, we already heard rumors, and like, so 9th is announced. They're already thinking about 10th edition. Guaranteed. They don't know where it's going to go from 10th edition or what's going to happen, and 10th edition will be a huge one. That'll be a huge release just because it's the 10th edition. Like, that being a number 10, it's one of those, like, special whatever, like, milestones. Guarantee they're going to make it a huge thing when it comes to 10th. And to the point where, like I said, like, they're already going to start. Like, obviously 9th hasn't come out yet, but once it does, then tournaments. And with Mike Brandt being a playtester and then in charge of all the tournaments, he talked about also trying to, I guess, standardize tournaments more. So it doesn't matter the interpretation, because it's interesting to see the interpretations of what a lot of people think different things mean. And that's something else they brought about at 9th, is they definitely try to do, and we'll see, I feel like they say this at least last edition, every edition, that they try to be more precise with their wording and less room for, like, obscure interpretation. They try to be more precise, which I hope that's the case. And but I feel like everybody will always read between the lines and will always have FAQs and erratas no matter what. Hopefully this is not the case, that they are, like, at the minimum. I hope we don't see really any erratas, because I hate when there's, like, just mess ups of points and spelling and stuff like that. Just seems like it's a rush job, even though there's a ton of work put into it. There's small mistakes could still slip through. I really just hope there's only a few FAQs, like maybe a few things, because at the end of the day, everybody thinks so differently and has such a different frame of reference and experience that everyone's mind just works infinitely different. So everybody will always interpret something slightly different. There's no like, yes, there will be groups that, yeah, that's the same way, but then there will always be those outliers, or even groups of outliers of people that don't agree. So anyway, with Mike Brandt kind of taking over at least the official Warhammer sponsored events, Games Workshop sponsored events, he did mention, kind of bringing that up, how interesting it is to see how, like, in America, one thing might be interpreted versus in France, Germany, the UK. Again, because we all have different frames of references, just our language being different changes the way our brains operate and work, because, the way that, French structure their language versus the way English is structured versus the way concepts and things are thought of in Japan with, like, their alphabet just alone is so vastly different. So that alone rewires everyone's brains to just think conceptively different. Like, the way we perceive concepts is completely different. Now, this is getting, like, way crazy down the rabbit hole of, how brains work and just everybody's own concept of stuff. So it's interesting, though. So for him to basically be in charge of all world events, that's basically saying, like, he's going to be kind of like the stop or end all be all when it comes to like rules decisions at tournaments, essentially, and how those will be interpreted. And when you have one person like that, it should make it more universal. So anyway, so I guess that's more kind of hopefully what they're referring to in the first point of it being more polished. So hopefully the wording is more precise and less open for interpretations and stuff like that. Then we have the Join the Crusade. Now I like this. I'm really curious to get more into this. So this is the idea of the games you play can add things to your army, add more character, experience, all that kind of stuff. And I'm really curious how it's going to work. They did mention in the chat, like, if you have a character or something that gets like very grievously wounded or just keeps getting wounded too much or something, like it might be time that he needs to be entombed in a dreadnought, so you can put him into a dreadnought and stuff like that. So it kind of adds more of a narrative character fluff to your army, which I'm very interested in because I like the idea of having some sort of a help or a system of help to grow the lore behind my homebrew chapter. I'm very curious how this will work. I like the idea of being able to string together a bunch of different games that aren't necessarily a part of like a narrative campaign. Like you don't have to go to your local hobby shop and run a couple month long or even a month long campaign where you meet once a week or twice a week or whatever it is to do like a campaign, and that's how you grow your narrative. Instead, you can take independent games. So you can be like, a game that I played with so-and-so on this day, and then I wasn't able to play for 2 months, but then that game, then also my next game I play against somebody else, all combined together. Or if you go to a tournament and all those games in your tournament, you can somehow then add into your narrative and somehow maybe add to the rules of your guys. I'm not really sure on that. That is the part where I don't think it will really translate over into tournaments for sure, because it makes it sound like you can gain experience and new abilities and stuff for your characters, or add new stats to them, like maybe more wounds or toughness or whatever. And that's where it gets kind of interesting, because if you're just stringing together a bunch of independent games, like how do you I guess make sure you're not just yourself, but then also your opponent, like if they were to bring like, oh yeah, I have this character and he has this stat line because he did this and this, like how do you know he just didn't pick those stats to just buff his character for that game? I mean, I don't know, maybe so. Aside, I mean, the lore side is easy to kind of add in because it doesn't add anything like stat wise to the game, but if there is something that you gain like gear or stats to your character or unit or something, I can see where that starts to become kind of a weird problem. But yeah,
the most immersive system for narrative play ever. The all-new Crusade system links your games. Earn battle honors, experience, and new rules for your army.
Right there, battle honors, experience. So battle honors, that's cool. That seems more like a modeling thing. Add some purity seals and things to your banners and stuff like that. Experience, though, is one that's interesting. And then it says new rules. So
it's time to toughen up, kid. Take your recruits from green to me. 3. Everyone loves command points, so now everyone gets more.
So the command point thing they also mentioned in the chat sounds like they're not necessarily a penalty, but they're going to basically, if you want to bring other detachments of other factions, it sounds like you're going to have to basically spend command points to get access to them. But on the so they talked about basically everyone's going to be getting more command points to start off with, and then essentially, like I said, you'd have to pay command points to bring in other factions or other aspects. They didn't go too much more into it other than that, but it sounds like everyone will get more command points to start with, and then from there, if you stay with one faction, then you still have more command points to use throughout the game. But if you want to bring in other factions and other stuff, so if you want to bring in that soup, you're gonna have to spend some of those command points to get access to that. At least that was my understanding of it.
Expect less soup and more super soldiers. 4. Tanks are back on track. Your armored behemoth been getting bogged down by pesky horrid grots or squishy gaunts? No more. Tanks can shoot in combat, blast foes at point-blank range, and keep on rolling.
Alright, so that one is very interesting. I like it. So basically, you can't just lock down somebody's tank and take those big guns out of the picture. But they did kind of allude to or mention that it seems like only certain things will that work against. So if maybe a knight locks your tank in combat, the tank is still not, like, won't be able to shoot out of combat. But maybe it can shoot in combat. So maybe that he could still bring its guns to bear on that knight while it's locked in combat. They didn't really go too much into it. So the only thing really that we can conclude from that is that at least hordes of orcs or Gretchen, Grots, Hormagaunts, whatever, like small, infantry that normally just wrap it around and lock it in, won't be able to do that anymore as far as it not being able to shoot. That wasn't ever really a big issue for myself with my Primaris army because the repulsor has fly and power of the machine spirit, so it didn't really affect me to just fly out of combat and still shoot. Yeah, so anyway, so I guess, but that's more for everybody, but I'm also interested though because it could mean I could try to stay locked in combat, although I don't know necessarily if I would want my repulsor, and so I would want my repulsor probably maybe locked in combat if I could shoot in that combat. So if I'm like locked with a knight, there's a possibility that I could still shoot because in the shooting phase. I don't know though. It may only be certain types of weapons still, just like the pistol can shoot, is the only one that can shoot in combat. So it might be something like grenades or something, anything with assault, something like that.
Terrain's been rebuilt from the ground up. Want to defend a building getting bonuses while you do? Absolutely.
So, go on more.
Want to sneak up on your opponent using terrain to block their line of sight? We've got you covered. Want to run screaming at your opponent with your chainsword raised and a hymn to the Emperor on your lips? Not completely relevant to this section of the video, but also, yes.
Okay, so they talk about terrain changes, so you're going to get potential bonuses from terrain, defending, some sort of line of sight blocking, able to deep strike or sneak up or something. So there's just some terrain changes, and that's something that I found interesting because with these price increases that are coming in on June 1st, if you look at the list, absolutely every piece of terrain is going up in price to the point of like terrain that hasn't been out that long. I mean, it's definitely been a few years since a lot of the kill team stuff and all those new terrain pieces, but like the new one that just came out from Sisters of Battle, like that's already on the list of price increase. It's already, I think, $110. I don't know how much it's going up, but I think that's probably part of the push. All the new Age of Sigmar stuff that's recently come out, like all of it, all terrain is going up in price. And who knows? I don't know really why they're deciding certain things. They say they have like over 23,000 products available, and only 400 something of them are getting an increase in price. But yeah, terrain is one of them. So I don't know if there's any connection there, but it's hard for me to not think that that's true or that there is.
6. Warhammer 40,000 at every size of game. From lunch break combat patrols with your new army to crushing your friends beneath the iron boots of your full collection. We have balanced the scales.
So I'm, again, don't know what that means. There's some sort of balance they've done to make it better to play at every level, I guess.
7. Tactical power at your fingertips. Strategic reserves have changed, allowing you to strike your enemies from all angles.
So that right there, strategic reserves have changed, and it says allowing you to attack from all angles. So I'm curious if that means you could bring them in from any table edge. Now, it was kind of like that before. You could bring in reserves and you would roll. And you would roll to see what table edge that they could come in from. I'm not sure if they're bringing that back or some sort of something for that. Maybe you pay a command point and you can pick the table edge. I'm not sure. They don't really, I said, go into that much more.
Think you're the cleverest general among your friends? Time to prove it, sunshine.
But I do kind of like that idea of
8. Big guns never tire, and firepower.
Alright, so this just shows that this says have a blast, and it sounds like a lot of weapons are getting a new keyword called blast. So if they fire at hordes, they do like maximum damage or something like that. I have to listen again here, but
Feels great. Explosive weapons deal maximum hits to hordes.
Maximum hits. So you'll do maximum hits when you recording again. Okay, yeah, like I said, like I may be interrupted, and as you see, my son has joined me for this part of the video. So back into it. So a lot of new weapons will be getting, or not new weapons, but weapons will be getting this new keyword, blast, which will do maximum hits when you're shooting against hordes. So already a lot of like orc players and Tyranids and stuff like that were like kind of shouting about that, but you know, I mean, it makes sense. They got rid of templates, and when you are shooting a big weapon that does have an explosion or a blast, you should ideally be able to hit, you know, maximum on it. So, oh, we got another one. Again, sorry for the interruptions. It's just how it is. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jolly. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Okay. So, let's go on to the next one. So that's number 8. Let's go see what number 9 is about. Flyers, I believe.
As they swarm across the battlefield, so bring your favorite guns to the party and get the job done. It's time to have a blast. 9. Aircraft take flight. Soar across the battlefield, ignore intervening models, and return for another attack run. It's time for aircraft to feel aircrafty.
So, ignoring intervening models, but then not much more info on what other, I guess, new changes to the flyers are. So, we'll just have to wait and see what's going on with that. Alright, so let's go down. So here they kind of talk about, you know, the Crusade thing again, which I'm very interested in see what that all has to do with. And then there's a new edition coming. We bet you have questions, so let us have them. And then another thing, they talked about this app that they're going to be doing for 9th, where you can build lists and stuff from there. I'm sure that they probably won't have points, but it'll be power levels on there, if they're even keeping power levels. They have not mentioned that either. But one thing that was mentioned, I think it was on their either their Twitter or their Instagram or somewhere I saw, it was an official Warhammer announcement though, that when you buy a hard copy, you'll receive a code where you'll have access to the digital copy as well, which I think is awesome to be able to have that option. Basically, you buy the hard copy and get the digital instead of have to buy them both separately if you want to. I still prefer the hard copy myself. I like it being able to flip, but if I'm away from the hard copy or whatever and I want to flip through the digital to try to find a rule or whatever, I'm like, you know what, I got this idea and I'm like away on a work trip or something, I'm like, I got this building idea, I want to see it. I'm like, what is this possible? I do like that idea, and we'll see. They say this will have a lot more to it than the Age of Sigmar app, so we'll see. There will be features that a lot of people ask for, and then many features that people aren't even expecting, I guess. Then here's the new website, and like I said, it's over at warhammer40000.com. Definitely go there, and a lot of people have, and they've definitely data mined and found cached images that show a lot more things. And then finally, the Silent King. So they showed this one, and it's a big construct that has a Satan shard of something going on. I'm curious myself if this is like the one from the Belisarius book, The Great Work, that he kind of banished out, and then it's like kind of coming back for revenge or not. I think it'd be really cool if it is, but it may not be. But yeah, and that's only the beginning. The dust is starting to settle. So then they have a Q&A. So they had they kind of like guessed what we thought you might. Check this out and see if it answers in there already. So they kind of came up with what they thought were some kind of questions that people might ask. And then this is just a link to the Twitch where you can go check that out. Oh wait, no, actually this is so on Twitch next Tuesday that they're going to, so if your question isn't covered in there, post to the comments of the tweet, and we shared earlier, and join us for a live Q&A on Twitch next Tuesday at 7 p.m. British Standard Time. You tired, bud? And we'll do our best. So I'm probably going to do a live, if I can, a live watch along as well, to see all the questions and see what people come up with there. So I guess that's definitely something to mark on your calendar on this coming Tuesday, the 26th, at 7 p.m. British Standard Time. Definitely check out and see their Q&A. Alright, so that part's done. And now the next part I want to jump into is this here, this Q&A that they kind of came up with, what they thought might be some questions that people have. And then I want to jump into the pictures that people data mined and found out about more of the new Space Marine models. You don't seem too excited. Are you excited? Yeah, okay. Alright, so this is a 2-page thing. I'll kind of breeze through this somewhat quickly. So a new edition of 40K. Basically, yes, that's right. Why have you done another edition of the game? They're always looking to make the games the best. So, I mean, obviously, we all know why they do new editions. It's really to improve the game, but also to make money. What's changed in the rules? Loads. New edition gives us a chance to look at the core rules and the underlying engine. We've looked at every phase in the game, as well as missions, points, and stratagems. You'll see changes that affect every army and every game. We'll be exploring many of these changes in details over the next coming weeks. Has the setting of the lore changed? There's going to be seismic developments as we explore more of the galaxy and rising threats to the Imperium. So, no, but there's advancement in the lore. So, yes. Will there be new models? Yes, so many new models. Necrons in particular are in for a good year. So that's right there, like, aside from the, what I'm guessing, the start collecting box. And that's only the start. So I think this is the year of the obviously Space Marines and Necrons. I think we'll see for the rest of the year. Wait 1 second, is that a new logo? Yes, we're sorry if it invalidates your tattoo. On the other hand, congratulations, it's now a vintage body of art. Or vintage body art. Can I still use my army? Yes. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, it's not as big of a change as 8th was, as far as like how the stats work, but I mean, other than that, of course, as we mentioned above, loads of cool rules. How can I get the rules? We're going to make it easy to get your hands on the new rules and start playing. The core rules of the game will be free. We'll have several options to get your hands on a full rule book. What happens to my codex? Good news, all your codexes still work, as do the campaign expansions like Vigilus, Sirius, Psychic Awakening, and White Dwarf supplements. And then again, what about Psychic Awakening? Again, they still work. So that's interesting that Vigilus will also still be valid. I wonder how long, though. Or if it's just going to be, if they're going to maybe go to a kind of an always valid thing. I'm not sure. Forge book indexes, they already announced, I think back at Nova this last year, that they're coming out with new Forge World index books. Will there be new codex editions? Yes, there will be new codex editions. Yes. Again, sorry for the interruptions. I got it. Yeah. You're just hanging out while I do this video. Are units points going to change? Yes. And what's this we're hearing about? So then they asked about the Crusades, a new system of narrative. Nice website, thanks for noticing. Yes, there is a new Warhammer 40,000 website. New cinematic trailer, yes, of course. Why should I not stick with current order? You can play any edition you like. Knock yourself out. You can even join Crazy Anthony. So why should I not? So We do think though that this edition is the best yet, and it might be easier to find an opponent this way. So yeah, why should you not just stick with the current? Because everybody's gonna be playing the new one. You might find a few that want to play an old edition, but for the most part, everyone makes the shift over to the new one. So that's why. The rules be updated through chapter approved. New core rules of Warhammer will be with us for a little while yet, but yes, with new units and books released all the time, we will be still looking at the game regularly with an eye and publishing updates. So they will still be doing chapter approved if they need to come out with, whatever updates. Haven't played 40k in a while. Welcome back. The new Warhammer 40,000 is easy. Okay. What's in the new box game? Who said anything about a new box game? That sure would be exciting, though. If such a thing were actually in the works, it probably wouldn't be long before we found out more. So there will be. What happens to Dark Imperium? The Dark Imperium set will retire pretty soon. If you want it, you don't have long to grab one. So Dark Imperium's going away. Obviously, it's going to be replaced by a new box set. Where will I be able to buy? I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. Why are you doing this so soon after Psychic Awakening? As many of you picked up, Psychic Awakening has been building. The new edition sees them come to pass and will return of a long-forgotten evil and some big developments. From a rules perspective, all the Psychic Awakening books are fully compatible. So again, you can play all the supplements they've come out with. Essentially from Vigilus to now and beyond, I'm sure. And I'm sure they'll be re-releasing like the Space Marine supplements and stuff. What happens to Kill Team? Absolutely nothing. It's its own rule set. Will the core rules still be available for free? They mentioned earlier, yes. What languages? A ton. English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, and Japanese. Do you remember, Eddie, what's the Japanese word for blue? Do you remember? Yeah. I love it. I want it. When can I have it? Really soon. We're a few weeks off just yet. Just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up so you're ready. So that makes it sound like it's definitely going to be like a June release, but we'll let you know when we have more news on the exact release date. And where can I find out more? We'll be running articles every day from June onwards. So that right there from June onwards almost makes it sound like it's not going to be released in June, that they still have a lot of other... What are you doing? In or out? Okay, close the door, okay? So yeah, so that's that. So now, let's jump into the final portion of this video that I want to get into. The new models. So this is an image that was data mined from the website, and there's some, I've got quite a few pictures. So, right here, you can see the new Assault Intercessors that they previewed in the thing, and then the other models that were previewed in the video but weren't actual models but were 3D characters or models were these right here, guys. These ones right here. So this here, when I first saw this, I kind of lumped these all together and thought they were like a 5-man honor guard, but then looking in other people's comments and stuff, I'm starting to notice something else here. So some things I want to look at. So we have this unit, a unit here, character, a unit up here, a character, and then a character. Now I lumped these two together and called them both chaplains. Now this definitely looks like a chaplain with a Rosarius and like whatever that Avenger bolt pistol thing is. But this guy I also thought was more like a melee esque chaplain with this giant sword. But some people are saying that they think it's a new character known as an executioner. And I'm not familiar with seeing that in the lore or anything. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just not 100% familiar with that. I believe this is the new Ancient, which so far now we're seeing that if you want to get an Ancient, you pretty much have to get the box sets. They have not released them separate. So yeah, so we have a new Ancient here. And then we've got this here, which appears to be some sort of like a Devastator type unit, and they have Gravis armor on, but nothing up here, so it looks like Gravis armor, and I don't even really see the hoods extending up above them. Thank you. not do that, please. And these look to be like these melta guns. Someone said they look like melta combis or something. Like I don't see that. And there's another picture we'll kind of look at that kind of shows that better. So, but anyway, I believe these to be the Hell Furies. They were mentioned in the Ultramarine supplement, but that was it. And I think this will come out, and these will be Hell Fury unit. Then we have Outriders, and I call them Outriders because that's what they were called in, I think it was Fists of the Imperium, or the Imperium. It was a book that came out that mentioned them, and I had posted that up on the site, on the Facebook page, the mention of a Primaris bike unit called Outriders, which was the name of them in the Horse Heresy time. So I expect these to be called Outriders, and it's a 3-person bike squad. Alright. So it looks like minimum is probably 3, and they maybe can go up to 5 in a unit, like regular bikes can, but I don't know yet. We'll see. I could also see them just staying at 3 is the max. And then we have this here, which I believe is a 3-man honor guard. Like at first I kind of lumped these all together, and then I realized, and after other people kind of pointed out too, the helmet marking on this one in particular, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then I noticed this one here, like obviously those are white as like veteran status, but then we have here a red sergeant helmet. So this is a 3-man kind of honor guard, or whatever they're going to call them, unit with a sergeant. And then you have a lieutenant here, and then you can't see it here, but we'll see it in a second, because they have a picture of him actually pretty nicely on the Warhammer 40,000 website. He has a Volkite pistol, so Volkite is coming back in some form, at least access of the Volkite to a lieutenant, probably a captain. I'm not sure who else will have access to it, but definitely the lieutenant will. And then this is most likely the captain. This has the really fancy shield with the skeleton kind of strapped to it that we saw in the video. You guys heading out?
I'm going.
Okay. Sorry again for the interruptions and everything. Okay. But yeah, so then we have, so that's basically what these are pretty for sure. That we have Ancient, Hell Furies, Captain, Lieutenant, Chaplain, an Honor Guard, Primaris Assault, Intercessors, and then Outriders. This one is the big one that I'm like, I don't know. I want to say he's a Chaplain, but not 100% sure on that. So, got a few other pictures we can look at real quick. So this is another one that was pulled out. This is kind of another angle of that aggressor. Now, this might be a bolter on the bottom here, and they all have like a combi bolter, like a combi bolt rifle melta thing, or maybe not. But we definitely can see this is definitely some kind of a melta, and then it looks like some cables maybe going from here to here, and then like some sort of big power canister. So, and then kind of like that aggressor, yeah, and then, but then like that's it. Like it doesn't really have the hood that comes way up over. So I'm pretty sure these are the Hell Fury. But very interested to see like how they're gonna work. With only 3 of them, they probably, since aggressors, Gravis armor or whatever can't go in pulsers, they're to get them in range, depending upon what the range is on this. Some people have been speculating they're probably like a 24 to 30 inch range potentially, because 24 for a multi-melta, so most Primaris is being longer range stuff, so I think maybe 30 inch melta. Yeah, I don't know. Another one of the bikes, nothing too crazy, and then here is a much more cleared up picture anyway. This was I think Valrock, here's this picture right there. Chapter Master Valrock's page, YouTube, whatever, someone had sent him this cleared up picture of the assault intercessors, which is cool. They all have like this extra kind of thing, armor over their forearm with this symbol on it. Another one here that was sent to him of a cleared up picture of the whatever these new aggressor Hell Fury looking things. But again, it's hard to see. Like, it definitely, you don't really see it too much here, but there definitely seems something underslung on the bottom right here. But yeah, it's hard to tell. And then here you can kind of see this very much looks like a chaplain. He's got black armor, but then like all his cloaks and stuff are red, which, you know, doesn't really necessarily mean anything in particular. But then he's got like this mask that's kind of got this burgundy red as well. So I'm gonna have to do some more research to see if like the executioner, if it is something that the primaries have kind of brought out. But yeah, it seems to be. And then we have like this new ancient, and again he's got like a cool some kind of thing going on with his helmet. And again, they all have like this. He has the same helmet, it looks like, as the ones like the honor guard do. So this army, especially like the ancient and the guys with the shields, the honor guard, whatever they all really scream both like dark angels because of the robes, obviously, but then also like with the robes and then the assault intercessor stuff. Like, to me, like, it all is very Black Templar to me. The bikes again, so they all look to have access to the heavy bolt pistol as well, and chain swords. And then these weren't sure, but they do look like heavy bolters on all the bikes here. Then we have, the, like I said, this honor guard unit here, and then you have the lieutenant and his captain. So it's a little bit harder to see, but some people are saying there's a hood and he's in Gravis armor. I don't think that's the case because, like I said, in that video we didn't really see that, but then also, like, that is not Gravis plating on his foot. The backpack is not Gravis. It doesn't, to me, I don't think it's Gravis, but the biggest thing is because this right here, it looks kind of like a hood, but it almost looks like kind of like a part of like this like face shield thing here, like maybe put up. And that's kind of what I'm thinking that is, but I'm not for sure, but that would be my guess. And then here is another picture someone tried to enhance and kind of darken a little bit to kind of get another idea of what everything kind of looks like. So, of everything, I'm really excited about all of it. This stuff here, is like, while I'm excited about it, I feel like we pretty much know what all this stuff is right through here. And this, obviously. Everything from here, but the biggest question is right here. This is what I'm, like, really wanting to know more about. Like, I want to better look at these guys, what's going on with them, what kind of weapons, what do they do, and just who is that in general. Like, there's just nothing else. Yeah, and so then here's just these same pictures, kind of gets grainier the further in we go. So, I think that's pretty much it then. Yeah. Alright, oh yeah, here is that lieutenant that's on the Warhammer 40,000 page right now. So again, like you see, that's a Volkite pistol, and yeah, lieutenant markings and all. So, definitely very cool looking model. I agree with some people, like, I'm not the biggest fan of this here. Like, why the robe is like tucked underneath the ab portion, like, just make the robe come out over some of it, or take the robe out, don't even have that, and just have like this part here or something. I don't know, I'm not really tracking why they decided to like tuck it up underneath there. Like, yeah, I don't know, that's kind of a weird choice, but really, it's a small thing for me. Like, I could, like, oh yeah, it's kind of weird, but I still think the model looks really awesome overall together. So, but yeah. All right, well, oh, forgot we have the 3D models as well. I was about to close it out, but yeah, then we have this guy. So this is that weird one that we don't know. It's an executioner, I guess some people think. It definitely has a lot of Chaplin vibes with the skeleton thing, but then it has like this, I don't even know if that's supposed to be cloth or leather or what, because it was painted in the same color as his like leather jacket and gloves and stuff. Um, so I think that is kind of adding to the idea of it being this executioner unit, since executioners often would hide their faces and stuff. Granted, it would usually be the top and their mouth would show, but I don't know. We'll see what that's about. Some more 3D model look at the assault intercessors, and then here's the I guess I'm calling them honor guard. I'm not sure what they are exactly yet, but yeah, the honor guard, and then the bikes. And that is the final image there. So, alright, I tried to make an abridged version. I probably went way more than what I expected. And then, of course, I had those interruptions of the kids coming in and out. So, again, I apologize for that. I generally get a few comments of people saying it was very distracting and annoying. And, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. I definitely tried to limit it as much as possible. But, aside from locking down my house, and then usually that's even more distracting, because then they usually are knocking on the door and yelling because they want to see Dad. So again, I apologize for that. It is what it is. I have a bunch of kids and they're gonna show up from time to time, so hopefully it wasn't too distracting. And other than that, I guess let me know what you guys think of everything. Like, what are you excited about? Like, I didn't go over any of the Necron stuff. There's definitely a few pictures floating around of the stuff there as well. They all look really cool, but since it's primarily since I'm primarily a Primaris player, Space Marine player, but I've definitely switched over and I'm just going full Primaris. I just wanted to hit on that stuff, and plus that's where most of the leaks and data mining and stuff is came out with and what people have gotten to. And then a lot of the other stuff too, a lot of the Necron stuff, it's just so new and crazy looking that people don't even know what to call it. It's just they know it's new. There was that other picture of the Necron stuff. There's like something with big wings or something. There's a lot coming out for Necrons for sure. So them stating that this is definitely going to be a good year for Necron players, I don't think that was a lie at all. I think we're always going to get new Space Marine releases, especially with the unofficial push that they are replacing regular Marines. They are. I feel like at this point it's well known, it's pretty obvious. They're being replaced. But they'll never come out and say you can't play your regular Marines anymore. Like they'll never come out and say that you can't do that, but they're replacing them. But regardless, I think we're going to start, hopefully, but I do think we're going to start seeing updates to a lot of ranges. So Necrons, I think, are first up, and alongside Necrons, you're going to see Space Marines get released. And then next, it might be something else. I would like to think that when they do something like Guard or something, they won't be releasing more Space Marine stuff, just the idea, because they're already working on an Imperium army. But I could definitely see anytime like they do an update to Tyranids or something like that, like you might start to see some more Space Marine trickle out, because again, I think the idea is more people play Imperium armies because there's more Imperium factions, so they'll tend to make more money over Xenos armies, and that's just the unfortunate truth about it. And on top of it all, Space Marine armies in general, because Space Marines are in every box, Space Marines are their mascot, and even more so, Ultramarines are their mascot. It's kind of annoying to see everybody like get upset when they see these models painted as Ultramarines but it's like they know that these models don't come with Ultramarine iconography. You can paint them any chapter you want. They are just using Ultramarines because at the end of the day, Ultramarines are the mascot of Warhammer 40,000 for Games Workshop. It's like getting upset that Disney keeps using Mickey Mouse or something. Like, it's their mascot is Ultramarines. And if the sooner you just accept it and get over it, the better. And I mean, you don't even have to accept it necessarily and get over it, but just realize that that's just the way it is. Anyway, so getting on a soapbox there, because every time I get so tired of like Ultramarines again. It's like, yes, Ultramarines again, but it literally can be any chapter. You don't have to paint them that way. Like, stop complaining about the way they're painting their studio army. Okay, but yeah, let me know what you think of all this stuff that's been leaked and come out and announced, and what are you most looking forward to? What are you hoping to see for changes? Or what are some things that you maybe are disappointed about that they're changing or that they haven't announced or that you just don't like in general? I do know there's actually been a few people, like, I'm pretty excited about all the models. I think they look great, and I'm excited to add them to my army. But I've definitely seen there's been a few people that just, like, I don't like any of it. I think it all looks ridiculous or doesn't look good at all, which to me I think is kind of crazy, but I mean, that's just my opinion. Like, I don't know how. I think they all look, obviously they're very beautiful models, but even like, I'm not a Necron player, but I can appreciate the aesthetic of it, and I can definitely say, like, I would be excited if I was a Necron player. Like, they all look great. Again, but I'm not sure. Some of the people that just don't, they're Space Marine fans, Space Marine players, but they just have no interest in these new models, which, again, I'm not sure. My brain isn't tracking that, but that's just my thing. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. And then also, if you haven't already, please check out the Facebook page. The link's in the description below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And let me know of anything I could do to try to enhance the content and everything on the channel. Like I said, I do my best with what I can. A lot of things like video quality and audio and stuff require hardware, which requires money, and this is not my full-time, daytime job, and I don't even have enough subscribers to monetize in any small way. So it's just what I can do, I will try to do. And I appreciate any constructive feedback that I can get to try and improve that. And if there's any ideas of content that you'd like to see, or like my opinion on, or thoughts on, or whatever, please let me know, and I will look into that as well. So, this was supposed to be the abridged version. I don't know if it was the abridged version, because there was a lot of content that came out, and when I go in to edit this, I'll see the full length. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and then I even had a little technical difficulty during the live stream I did. It was working fine. Then, like, my internet went out, and then it came back, and so, like, the live stream, it didn't save the first half of it. So you might have seen it when I was live streaming it, and then the live stream that's up on the YouTube channel right now is I guess, like, the first, I would say, 30 minutes got cut off or so. So, alright, again, I'm ending this for the 5th time. This is not the end of Return of the King, although it may seem like it, as I've had many endings already. So, without further ado, until next time.